So, with us today is Kirby. He is the founder and CEO of 365 Connect. It's a leading provider of award-winning marketing, leasing, and resident service platforms for the multifamily housing industry. Now, he's been a guest lecturer, featured speaker, panelist, numerous universities, conferences, and events. Now, he's also appeared on BBC Digital, right? He's been on NPR News and various media outlets. He thinks bigger about the world we live in. Most significantly, Kerry has contributed to an array of articles and white papers on real estate and technology. He's presented over 135 webcasts, and he's reached over 1 million listeners from around the world, and he's often quoted as an expert in the technology sector. So, Kerry, welcome in.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Doing great. Happy to be here today.
Yeah, great to see you. I'm so excited that you're joining us with us today. I have my coffee, and I also have water, and I have access to comments from the guests. So we are equipped. Man. We are equipped. We've got a pulse to the heart and minds of those in multifamily today.
Well, I have some water also, and I've got a seatbelt on because I know we're always in for a long ride when I'm with you.
That's awesome. So tell me, what are you looking at? Is that an award wall? You've been doing some things. A lot of people might not even know what those awards mean. Tell me just in 30 seconds or less, what's behind you?
Well, in our office, we have an award wall. So when we built out our office, we had a couple of awards. We were gaining more traction in the market, and we decided to build a wall to showcase it. So we've been in the technology side of this business for 18 years. So today we have 86 technology awards. I believe out of that, it could be like 56, 58 of them are international awards. So we like to go out and I call it play on the international playing field of, getting ideas and winning awards. So it's nothing like beating the guys in Japan, Patrick.
Yeah. Well, listen, you've probably heard my opening remarks talking about Elon and some of the cool things he's working on, and I just want to bring up the first question is it's not about a new technology, it's about changing the game. So, what do you see important for people to be thinking about in terms of where we are in the state of multifamily?
I think the most underutilized thing that we're not doing is follow demographics. So I've been in the multifamily space for quite a while. This company was born out of developing properties, and the first product actually predates the company by about 3 years. So 20 years ago, looking for different things that just didn't exist in the market, decided to build some technology from simple websites with guest cards, which evolved into resident portals, all the time searching and looking for something that wasn't there. So I were to drop in it today, obviously those things are there. And, I would have not been in this side of the business. But I think the big thing is when you build a property, you look at market demographics. So that's how you build things. Is there employment coming in? You're never going to get a deal funded if you have a declining market. People are moving out. There's unemployment in the area. So we need to look at the demographics of who our renters are because they're changing constantly. So they've changed since we've been in the business. So we watch demographics on a larger trend. Who is the renter of tomorrow? What are their habits? What are they doing on the internet? What moves them? I mean, look at the things that we've been through online. We've gone from MySpace, which was massive, right? It was originally sold for $500 million. Whoever was on MySpace, Tom was your friend. Well, Tom has all the money now. And we've seen the rise of Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, now TikTok. So you have a generation that moves quickly, and they will vote. I call it they vote with their likes and their clicks. And if something doesn't work right, they're quickly to move to another platform. And that's why we're seeing some of these things pop up. And we're like, how much more can somebody bring to the market. Everything's been done. But just when you think they are, you'll see something else come in and take hold of the market.
Yeah, and so I want to open up with a discussion that you and I had even leading up to this event, which was the trend of the banking industry and how 4,400 branches have closed over the last 3 years. And, it goes back to my comment about anything in the middle that's not contributing and adding value is essentially being eliminated. You're seeing departments and management companies where accounting can be easily outsourced. There's no longer a row of cubicles of staff accountants or what have you. And so we're re-envisioning the way that we're working. And also, it's not just because we want to just save cost. Consumers are choosing this path. It's not, I think the banks are profitable. They have all the money and they have probably all of our money, but they're closing 4,400 branches because customers aren't using them. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's not the banks doing bad and they're closing them because they're going out of business. It's that people are not interested in walking in the bank anymore. They are completely digital. Our currency, we talk about cryptocurrency and Dogecoin and Bitcoin, but our currency is digital also. So we're seeing nothing but digital transactions. Look at the spike that we've had in digital payments. Look at PayPal. Record quarter since they've been in business in 2021. So what we're seeing is, again, that consumer speaking and saying, this is how we want to do business. You can put this brick and mortar building over here, but I'm not interested in it. I'm interested in the technology tools that you can deliver me online to do business with your company. I know multifamily is a little different. We put a roof over people's heads, but the difference is, how do we transact with them? How do we bring them in? How do we tour properties now? How do you apply for one? Which is a whole nother subject unto itself. We have the technology to make everything you want to do work. We have to change the processes in the industry. That's where the root cause problem is. It's the processes we've adopted have not changed in decades.
And partly because success. I mean, we've won the game. I mean, there are people that are doing great. They keep going through the process and making millions of dollars, exiting portfolios, and it can appear to be successful until it's not, right? And then at that point, it's too late. And so let's pick on the auto industry right now, because probably don't have a whole lot of auto industry friends in the room with us today, but we'll pick on them because it's easy target. And we all have most likely seen a car. You probably see one every day, and it's a physical product just like apartments, but not in the needs. I mean, you can do without a car. Doing it at a home, very different. But the way that they transact, I would love some comments even from how many of you in the comments enjoy the process of shopping for a car. I would love to know, this is exciting to me. I love walking around and kind of seeing the cars, test driving them and negotiating. And then I like going to the finance department and then being told that the car you bought really is a piece of crap, so you got to buy this other thing. Do you enjoy that process? I'd love to hear in the comments if you do that. And continue this conversation, Kerry, because the apartment industry is heading that way. In the auto industry, you and I talked about if you sell 20 units a month, literally a unit is their inventory, right? You sell 20 units a month, you're a star, you're a rock star, and you can go anywhere and do the thing you want to do. You get all the coffee, all that stuff at the auto dealership. And the whole model is to get them to come into the store. So we also call our business inventory units, right? In fact, one of our largest trade associations magazine is called Units, right? Are we headed to the wrong? Are we headed to the wrong areas in the business, and are we starting to look more like automotive if we don't make some changes?
If you talk to anyone in the automotive industry, and I dislike the process of buying a car, but the premise is very similar, right? If we get them on the lot, we have a higher success rate because one of our people can get to them. That's how our industry thinks. If we can get them here for a tour, we have a better chance of getting a lease. It's one and the same. They're units. They'll call a car unit, apartment's a unit. So it's a quasi similar thing. Marketing's the same. It's inbound, right? We got to get them on the lot. So it's not something you can physically go out and sell that, hey, this is doors I want to go knock on, for lack of a better word, to go out and sell. So it's very similar. And I heard you talking about Tesla earlier. Tesla has disrupted that game. So if you look at the bones of the auto industry, it was always the big three, and then you've got all these other companies that came in. But they've all adopted this dealership model. So it's always the local guy, and you see all the TV commercials, and he's got a dealership, and he markets those cars, and they got the service department, and they've got all these pieces. And what Tesla did is they came in and they completely tore that model apart. They've eliminated the dealerships. So it took a ton of money out of the process. They recreated the supply chain. They've gone direct to consumer. You go online, you build your car, and you don't encounter a human being until a guy shows up with a truck and drops it in your driveway. So they've changed the game of how cars are being sold. Now, how do you think they did that? Because they knew who their customer not only is, but who it was gonna be. And they basically are selling millennials, Gen Z. That's their target. Do they get some crossover demographics, as I call it? Absolutely, and you have some in your property too. But that's what they did, is they looked at this from a perspective of, how do we get in here and take this broken system and restructure the process of it? And that's where they're winning the game. They're doing it with product, they're doing it with price, but they're doing it with a model that people don't have to deal with a salesperson, which we all dread when we go to a car dealership, keeps us from going. Actually, Patrick, I've talked to car dealers or guys that sells cars, and they say their highest volume of people on the lot is on a Sunday when they're closed, because they just want to go look at it, see it, look through the window, see the sticker price. They don't want to deal with somebody. They want to see it, feel it. Okay, that I'm interested in. And they might go online and shop for it.
Yeah, and Tesla changed that process, and they did it without permission. In fact, I mean, you think about all the top automakers, from Audi, Toyota, Chevy, GM, all the group. And these are people, again, a lot of success over the years, invented the automobile in many cases, of the production and all these things, and stood to sort of lose if the model of the current business dealer network stayed in place. In fact, there was campaigns that the National Auto Dealers Association put together to fight Tesla on this process, and tell the story of, maintenance and the service and all these things. And here Elon's building something like service. What's the service? I mean, I think you can make the car in 3 hours or something. But the point is, as a leader, if you're Ford, you're Chevy, and you're Audi, and now they're 8 years behind, and he gave them the patents and they're still behind. How do we not do that as an industry? Because as we introduce products to the industry, we also gut check and we check in with people. Will this work? But if they're still thinking like that maze and how I opened, we're going to build iterative products or iterative design. And so when you're thinking about your customers, you have the consumers that you track, right? And then you have the operators that have they're a customer too, because you're selling to them, right? But you're really serving the consumer.
I'm in a weird space with what we do. So we have a B2B sale. We sell to management companies, multifamily owner operators, but our product is a B2C product. So we're given the property of product for them to transact with the consumer, with their customers that want to rent apartments, which are market consumers. So it's definitely a different thing because we have a pretty big data set. We've been at this a long time. Look, we're not the biggest guy in the room. We're probably not the smartest guy in the room. We've been in the room for 18 years, which has to say something. And I think that there's a huge disconnect sometimes between what some of the property management companies and the different layers and departments, the way they see things versus what I call reality, what's really happening out there, what's happening with your customer. Because at the end of the day, that product is to get your customer in the door, serve them after they're behind the door, and all the little things in between that are happening, that are evolving out there. And building technologies, not an easy task. I mean, to come up with a new product, get it in your existing platform. And look, some of these things, and everybody knows there's a lot of stuff in the market. There's a lot of legacy stuff that's a little clunky. Now and then you just got to rip it all apart and rebuild it because technology moves so quick. If you're on something older, and I heard you say earlier, Internet Explorer, they ought to take that out and burn it, set it on fire. It's been a thorn in every web developer's side because it just didn't work. The thing is, the properties have so many computers, they don't update operating systems. So you can have a property manager running on an old version of IE. It's not supported, that nobody can build anything to anymore because it wouldn't work in anything modern if you attempted to build to it. And you know, you're in for what I call a good time trying to talk to someone and say, you need to update this. It's not supported. You've got more holes in it for viruses to come through than, you know, Swiss cheese. But so it's a bit of a challenge. And there are some companies, I would say in the last year and a half, we've seen a great movement of people more interested in that renter and where's that going? Where is it moving? What tools do we need to really serve them? So there are some companies that are progressive that are interested in that, but we still have a huge amount of, you know, companies out there that, again, not broke, don't fix it. Just like a car dealership. Well, I'm sitting here making millions of dollars with my car dealership. Why should I change it? You know, it works perfectly fine. Well, I don't want to do anything. I might, like you said, you might move it incrementally a couple of points, which doesn't excite me. But I think what we're going to see is a giant shift coming as Gen Z. They've now moved into second place as our most active renter. So we had millennials and Gen X. Gen X is now in the third place. Gen Z in the next 24 months will be number one. And they're the biggest generation we ever had. I call them the Uber generation, Patrick, because everything needs to be instant. I want to click a button and a car shows up. I want to click a button and food's delivered. And they don't wait around. If we don't respond quickly, they're going to go away. And we're going to start to see holes in the system. And those that are going to serve them is where they're going to migrate to. And that's when we start to see turnover. They're very mobile. We're going to see, you know, some occupancy issues because depending on the market, there's a lot of options out there.
So in terms of, you know, your B2B service, I mean, you sell into the companies that operate, right? And so you have that customer expectation, but really you're serving their customer, and you have those forward-facing sort of assets or products that ultimately, if you win for that customer, you ultimately win for the operating customer. But do you get caught up in sort of the perceptions, maybe a viewpoint that maybe an operator has, or an on-site manager, or could be whoever, whatever the use case is, where they just want it this way, and ultimately you have this knowledge that that's not going to serve the customer? How do you navigate through that if you're building and trying to build a business?
It's tough. You try to build some things in there that we know. So for example, we know for a fact that people want to shove everything at the top of the site. They think that you have to give them everything in their face at once, and it's just not the case. So a lot of companies, they want, we want pop-ups. Well, go Google pop-up blockers. I think Chrome comes built with it, and they're going to get this little yellow bar, hey, all your pop-ups have been blocked. So do we want people to know about specials? Absolutely, but they need to be incorporated into the site. And everything doesn't need to be in somebody's face. You need clean, concise is what people are looking for. I mean, if things are just too crowded up, what we're seeing is people run away from it. So we want it real clear, real concise. We want transparent pricing. We still see a lot of people that's like, call for inquiry and we'll tell you how much it is. People want transparency, and they want to get to what they're going very, very quick. And I mean, we're working on some products that are going to be different, that are going to have people get instant while they're there, because that's what they want. In our industry, there's still operators that want 20, I call it 20 things, but 4 or 5 things that not everybody has. I mean, I want your
right.
Upload this, I want this.
Let me ask you this. I do have a comment here from Kevin. He asked us, and this is specific, maybe we can address this, maybe not on the fly here, but does 365's digital application account for market price changes when they select an apartment? Many systems do not alert prospects. This would be a great feature. Is this something that can be solved, I guess?
Yeah, so we actually... We've accommodated for that because it is a problem, and these are the gaps, and this is where companies like mine come in, is what's the gaps, right? So somebody can apply for something and maybe the price changes, or maybe the unit goes away somewhere in the process, because right now our applications are a little bulky and somebody might want to come back to it later. Or maybe they have a co-applicant and they're waiting on a co-applicant, and that unit could go away. So we do have some unique abilities where we're able to pull inventory for a set amount of times. We're able to notify price changes if you come back. We're able to notify if a unit is gone. So we do have some unique things, and we have some other things that we want to bring to market that we think is geared to tomorrow's renter. And some of these things, Patrick, everybody, we've been building for a little while, because we've been seeing the trend of Gen Z coming into the market. And it's something I've actually been talking about probably for over 2 years now. So, I do a webcast. I'm doing one next week. I think that'll be my 138th webcast. So I'm big into demographics. I love tracking things, and I've been seeing this trend coming, and I've been following that group. I've been following your younger millennials, and there are certain tools and features that are just not in the market that we need to bring to the market.
So I wanted to ask this question. Jody asked, and this is a question that's been asked before, but do you see AI or the internet replacing on-site personnel? And I know I opened with the banking analogy of the 4,400 branches closing. I mean, you could see that, you painted the picture of it being not like the big bad companies removing jobs and all that conversation, but really the customer driving that. What are your thoughts on sort of?
I'm an employer, so it's hard to say, hey, I'm going to build a robot, we're going to replace everybody's job. But what I think we need automation. We know the consumer wants self-service tools. Look at Tesla. Let's go do everything and have a car show up in our driveway. So I think we get to the point in multifamily that it's completely self-service. I'm talking everything, including walking through the door, that we can do it without encountering a person. And I think our people are repurposed to more important tasks. And if you talk to a multifamily operator, they have incredible turnover on-site staff. So it's like, you know, don't touch our on, you know, don't build things that replace staff, but we need to repurpose them. We need to give them more critical roles and not just say, here, show an apartment, sign a lease. You're right. We can build a robot for that. And we can use our people for more productive things and optimize our properties better. And we can also accelerate leasing and all these different things by moving this into a completely automated world where we don't have to do that. Do you know, Patrick, I'm a big research guy, but there's a study out there, and I can't remember off the top of my head who wrote it, but in the next 3 to 4 years, 20% of all the products that we receive as consumers will be built, packaged, shipped without a human in the whole process chain. So it's happening. It's happening in other industries. And I think we have to go there in multifamily because the people process is not always the best process because maybe we're underutilizing the talent we have with these common tasks, and we can repurpose them into better, more meaningful, productive roles.
Right, and I think even we opened up with Elon Musk and how the inventive technology is not coming up with the rocket, right? Just reinventing how it's used, or even the battery and all that stuff. And so even the on-site position, I mean, today, now, you know, the future, you know, the service aspect, the maintenance, the facilities part is probably, for the maintenance departments, the exciting time, because their future is probably the property managers of the world, right? So some of these things are automated in such a way that, you know, because right now people call the offices and we're asking them to rent, lease, collect, and determine technical issues with facilities. And, you know, those things, if you started today, would you build it that way? You know, right. Would you have the work orders, you know, in an app that allowed you to take a picture of the thing before you even describe it? You don't even have to describe it. It's like, here's a picture of it. Anyway, so, you know, thinking about, you know, back to Elon Musk and building rockets, how is that similar to how you're building software? Because is this stuff ever done?
It's never done, ever. The big thing is getting to market with it. Because if you hand a customer something and it's got, you know, look, all software has bugs. Anybody that uses anything, it's going to go down because it runs on a server's computer. Now and then they reboot. Now and then they get software updates. You're going to have a little bit of disruption. You're going to have some lag time. We're dependent on the internet infrastructure of the country to serve up web-based software. But what I like about Elon, because I'm a fan of Elon, what Elon does is he takes a rocket and he blows it up. We all see him. We're there in amazement. Wow, they were landing a rocket and it blew up. Good thing nobody was on it, you know. But the reason he's doing that is because it's cheaper for him to test a rocket and blow it up than it is for him to build all these things around it. And I'm going to test this and I'm going to test that. And that's the way software is built. We have testing harnesses. And I'm not saying we should ever eliminate all these pieces. But the problem with it is by the time you get through all those hoops and things that you have to do, it takes a while. I've been building something for a year and a half that I hope to bring to market shortly. But there's so much that goes into it. There's so much around it. And if I could just put it out there and, hey, it's going to blow up here and there, because that's how you really find the problems and the use cases. I'll never forget, we had things, and who would think somebody would type in a form, some of the earlier things, a hashtag, a star, and an ampersand, and just systems like, what is that? And it throws an error, right? So it's not that it blew up. When it doesn't know what to do with it, it's going to throw an error. So Elon has built rockets cheaper because he blows them up and says, that's my testing. wow, I now know what not to do so I don't blow it up this way. Let's try another one and see if we do this to it, if it will blow up. And that's how he does it. And I think software is no different. We just have to have a mindset in our industry that, look, we're going to blow up some stuff now and then, but it's okay.
Yeah, you know,
now we know
at the top of the show, I told everybody we're forming our Multifamily Innovation Advisory Council, and like right now, if you're in something like that, you've got to be either a funded company, right, to get access to beta and early adoption things, and so. But there are some great companies out there that just want to build a business off of P&L and enter the market and change people's lives, and so. With the Innovation Council, I've got already 35 people that are in for that already, Kerry. 37 now. And so
38 because I'm in.
38 because you're in. And so hopefully that would be a way to connect, get that feedback loop going quicker, even if it's just thinking about the questions that they're dealing with, having a more helpful understanding of where they are, and so you can move these things through into the marketplace.
Yeah, a collaboration is huge, and you need people that want to think outside the box, want to figure out where's this going, what can we do with it? Because let's face it, everything's technology driven now. So if we don't have the proper technology tools in place to bring our prospects in, bring them through the process and onboard them quickly, not lose that attention span, and then serve them after they're resident. And I know we've been doing all these things I'm saying, we've been doing them for a while, but they need to change. They're antiquated. And if we don't do it, we're going to see the effect of it. It might not be tomorrow, but over the next couple of years, we're going to see a drastic difference in the way things are moving.
Yeah, and so Jason says, I'm in as well. So I think it's great to have a heart to serve, and also really make an impact, because we do need that collaboration, and that we don't want to blow things up too much, but it does help us build better stuff. I would suspect. So what else are you excited about? We were talking about demographics a little bit, how you pay attention to the generations. What's the shifts that people are not thinking about right now?
I think that our renters changing. And look, we all have different kind of properties, and people would say, well, I have a senior property, it doesn't matter or whatever, but it does, because who's your customer 10 years from now? It's definitely a different person than it is today. So if we don't look at who our customers are going to be, then we'll never get where we're going. So it's not always who it is today. It's where's it going? Where's it moving? Because I hear stories of some very long-term residents at apartments, but I got to say, those have to be very unique off cases, I call it, because most people are always going somewhere else. Our society's getting more mobile. With remote work now, we can live anywhere. Look at the Zoom towns that we have now. People are moving to all these different places because, I don't need to live in, Silicon Valley to work for this tech company anymore. I don't need to live in downtown New York City anymore. So people are more mobile, and for us to win the game, the long game, we need to look at who that is and where we're going with it.
Well, how are you spending your time, I guess, with your team? I know that you've mentioned a little bit about the buyers and the consumers. Where are you guys on your journey in building and designing right now?
Well, we do what's called predictive technology projects, and we've been looking at the trend over the last couple of years. About a year and a half ago, we started looking at, and some of this is feedback of actually some mutual people you and I know, Patrick, that says, hey, I got a problem. I'm a fee manager, and when I go in and I staff up and I turn staff, I can easily get thrown out of this property if I'm not going right, and I have these turnover problems. How can I lease an apartment 24 hours a day without a person? So we've been working on solving those problems. We've been looking at the problem with people applying for apartments. It shouldn't be what it is. We want to make it quicker, cleaner, instant, on the spot. I know that sounds like a big thing to some people, and some people might say, well, I'm kind of doing that now. But I guess the question is, are you at a consumer level? So those are some of the things that we're looking at. So we're kind of take our platform apart at times, and you'll see us kind of, I call it huddle down, like, well, we're not interested in really going out and doing any business right now because we got something just incredible we're working on that we want to introduce to the world. And we'll kind of have our head down working on something, and then you'll see us kind of pop up with that. So that's kind of where we've been. We've had head down, building some pretty cool stuff, and we're looking to introduce it hopefully sometime late next quarter, or parts of it.
Well, it looks like you're going to be huddling down as part of the Innovation Advisory Council. We've got some great people that are reaching out. Listen, if you want to join it, text me directly. I'll respond to every message. Of course, I'm live right now, but I do see them coming through. It's 480-780-2611. Kate, Chris, Sherry, John, yeah, I can see them coming through. So that's 480-780-2611. If you want to be part of the Multifamily Innovation Advisory Council, you'll be able to be part of building some of the great things that are going to solve some of the challenges that we have and create opportunities in the industry. So, Kerry, so awesome for you to show up again for our community. And, we got you out of the huddle down moment. But we expect big things with the Innovation Advisory Council. So appreciate you for showing up and sharing the time.
It's exciting as always, Patrick. Thanks so much for having me. And you and I talked often and are always bouncing ideas. So the Innovation Council sounds like something very exciting, very much needed. So I hope that we get some multifamily operators in there so we can collaborate. And it's not about selling; it's about information, about gathering information. So I would tell any providers coming into it, let's collaborate and gather information. That's really what I think we're here for.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, great to spend the time with you. And I will see you, I guess, in the next show. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All
Thank
right,
you,
Kerry,
Patrick.
we'll talk soon.